All right, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Prosper Market Show. I'm your host, Lockefox, and we have quite a show in store for you guys. The Phoebe has just launched, and there's a bunch of very interesting flags that came up that I was not expecting. One second. Let's make that not make noises. I can drive. all that for the beautiful, beautiful spaceship desktop quality stuff. We got some new stations. I got an information slide at the end of this. The SOE skins on the stations look amazing. I can't wait to get in on the test server and go run around a little bit. It's looks really great. Also, it's worth noting that it is a really big system. That is using... this is a picture of the system in the Solar System Viewer using 16 AU probes, and as you can see, it's a long way to everywhere. So this is going to be a fun piece of tech. Just as a sort of pause point so you guys can see what's going on, the new dev blog came out and it has all the information in it. Some critical points, just so people sort of know, is that there will be no new moons in any of the new systems, so there will be nowhere to anchor a POS. It'll be very hard to live in these new shattered systems, or the Thera. You won't be able to have a POS in Thera either. They announced 75 shattered wormhole systems, which will have shattered planets and a bunch of lore tie-ins and richer ore belts and ice in wormholes, which is going to be a really interesting change. It should. I hope that this makes the wormhole space a little more self-sustaining, so we should see less impact of things coming out of wormhole, and I expect Thera to be a very interesting data point. And then, of course, there is the one named wormhole system, the one named system in wormhole space, just like the one named system in Syndicate, Thera. And it's worth noting that there are four stations with 24 corp offices apiece, so space is going to be precious there. You can check it out live on Singularity right now, and there should be links. I'll put a link in the blog about how to get logged into the test server, and also how to use the MoveMe bot. And it's worth noting, I didn't put the note here, no capitals in Thera. You can't build them, you can't jump them in. Freighters will be able to enter, and you won't be able to anchor bubbles, but you will be able to use Hictor and Dictor bubbles. So, and then a note to all of my CCP viewers, because I know I've got to have at least one, or I wouldn't be this much of a diva. If Thera has crest feeds, I will add a specific chapter in the show dedicated completely to Thera. I will run special flags just for that system, but you got to give me a crest feed, or I can't do it. Well, I can do it. You can't really stop me, but please put a crest feed in. Please, 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 please. Pretty, 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 please. Next, we'll go straight into our market analysis, starting, of course, as we do every week, with Plex. Largely staying flat at the 860 million ISK range. Now, it's been bouncing up kind of high. We've been seeing a few days where sell orders will get up to 900, but we haven't seen a sustained peak over that yet. Again, my analysis pretty much carries over week to week. I think that the prices are artificially high. I think that a decent Plex sale will push the price down considerably. Not below 800, I don't think, but it'll move the mark pretty decently. And I also think that we're at a crux between the highest player activity time of the year, driving the highest Plex demand, and sort of stingy conversion market contracting supply. So the fact that it stayed flat week over week for this last couple of weeks is a decent sign that there might be an abatement, but I would not bank on it. The best bet you can make is the price of Plex will climb ever higher. Moving on, let's go talk about the weird outliers that flagged. I didn't have time to roll in the new price outlier flags, but they will be in next week's analysis, and I will put a link to the files if you guys want to look at them. So, with that being said, the first one I want to highlight was a real surprise to me, is the Sisters Core scanner probes are down significantly. It looks like they dropped 500,000 in price. They dropped way outside their normal stable levels. So if you can go buy up a bunch, I sort of expect this to bounce right back and make a quick buck. This is one I actually feel really good about, which doesn't happen very often, which means that whatever I just said the opposite is going to happen. It's going to fall farther, and I'm going to eat my hat next week. So the next one I don't have a good answer for, but the IFV Surface remote tracking computer is flagged a much higher volume, is suddenly wildly popular. I have no idea why. So this one was just weird. I kind of wanted to highlight it just because it looked so weird. I don't have any good notes up or down about this one. The next thing is a bunch of Cosmos materials have been in a cell spike in JITA, which is very weird. It looks like it happened right after Phoebe launched, and I'm not exactly sure what is driving this. We have analog panels, armor blocks, and there were a couple more slides are out of order. Okay, so as I highlighted last week, I highlighted some of the Moon products, and I'm going to go ahead and do that again this week. Both the crystalline carbonite and photonic metamaterials are way up in price, which should reflect in a higher higher Galente Tech2 prices. I don't know if this is washed out yet. A lot of it probably already has. The effect is probably because of the higher cost of Galente ice over the last couple of weeks. There was a big spike right before Phoebe launched. And so I expect that those who bought fuel are accounting that into their thing. We're seeing this a week after that ripple. And I expect the prices to come back down, but crystalline carbonite and photonic metamaterials spiked a lot more than the rest of the products. So that's just a point worth keeping in your hat. I expect it to come back down to a somewhat normal level at about 150, but we'll see. Hypersynaptic fibers look like they are undervalued at the moment. Again, I don't know how much I trust the real-life stock charts at the bottom here, but the price seems overly low. I do expect the price to be at about 8,000, 7,800. I would expect this to come back unless fuel stays low or drops significantly. And here's photonic metamaterials out of order because I'm really bad at this. And like I said before, the price is way out of bounds and it is way higher than it should be. But I expect this to be wholly temporary. Moving on to minerals. Oh, sorry, I do have one more point for producers. If you do produce Galente Tech2 stuff, it might be worth your time to hold off starting new construction, or to try and buy up cheap pre-assembled components, because I don't expect those to track the instantaneous price as well as the rest do. So let's move on to minerals. As I said last week, there was a huge spike that was not real. That was a purely speculative weird blip, and the price has settled back down to 5.5. There it looks like we're going to have a slight tick up as we go into the weekend, but I don't expect to see it move above like 5.6. Pyrite looks like it overcorrected on the downslopes, so we're back up again. I expect it to settle back down to 11 again over the weekend. Mexilon looks rather out of line. Looks like it's rather cheap. If you have the means, it might be a good opportunity to buy up some spare supply. Isogen is remaining relatively flat. I expect it to oscillate around 120 and just keep doing that. The price seems reasonably stable. Noxium is still on a downward slope. I don't expect that to really change. Zydrine is spiking, but Zydrine should not account for a lot of your costs, so I wouldn't worry too much about this. And Megasite is flat over the last week. Again, for the same reasons, Megasite tends to always be flat. It's because of refining oversupply from nullsec and wormhole space. Morphite is also up a bit. I don't really know which direction it will go. It looks like it might be a little bit high, but I do sort of expect it to crest 5,000 and to stay above 5,000. So if you can go pick it up reasonably cheap and hold on to it for a week or so, you might find a decent place to cash out. It's worth noting that the volume sold over the last couple of weeks is much lower than usual. Moving on, we'll talk about some fuel. Nitrogen isotopes, the high-sec Caldari isotopes, saw a spike before Phoebe, but have come back down to their normal level. This was expected. There looks like there was a hoarding effect right before the patch, but the prices have settled back down again. We didn't see Caldari fuel blocks move like at all with that, which is a little bit interesting. It looks like some people may have lost a few bucks on that one. Oxygen isotopes, which is Galente fuel, spiked really hard right before Phoebe, but then as we can see, the trade volume is much lower. These ones are important because it tends to be what goes into reaction pauses because of the silo bonus. Looks like the amount sold, people are burning off backstock of that expensive stuff. I don't expect it to go back up again. I expect it to stay at that 880, 860 level. It should be coming back down. Galente fuel blocks still look a little bit high. I do expect them to come down a little bit further, but not by much. We should be hitting another bottom out over the next week. Helium isotopes on my poorly aligned slide. These go into Amar towers. Mostly I see them in wormhole space, but I'm not familiar. Took a big crash right after the patch. Again, a big speculation right before the patch. Patch hits, the price plummets. It looks like an overcorrection though, so if you're brave, you might want to pick up some, maybe produce some Amar fuel blocks, but it's a risky bet seeing as there's probably a bunch of extra supply sort of just sitting in hangars at the moment. Amar fuel blocks have taken a nice hefty bump down, so if you have the opportunity to buy them, they are undervalued at the moment. But I expect this to recorrect by Friday or Saturday. So if you're tuning in live, you can probably make a buck. If you're catching this the next day, you probably missed the trend. Hydrogen isotopes, which go into Minmatar towers, took a huge tumble. They have been steady for the last few months on the sort of low decline, but then absolutely tanked after Phoebe. I have no idea if this is going to come back. I do expect this price to be overly low. I do think that the value of it is about $750. So this might be a great chance to go buy up some cheap stock, but the price is way down. Also, if you can get Minmatar fuel blocks, this would be a great time to go. A great time to go buy the cheap stuff, build it into blocks, make an extra few bucks. So this stuff is way undervalued. I did not fill this out correctly. I think I only put those two in there. Yeah. Okay. So last week I said that I expected nano transistors to bump up because of the fuel bump, and it did, and I'm a little bit shocked because usually when I make a really good prediction like that, the market goes the opposite direction. So if you took my advice, congratulations. Again, I still think that a lot of the Tech2 stuff, the Tech2 consumables seem to be a little bit anemic on volume, so I don't know what's going on there. Then I said that ceramic fibers were due to go up again, and though I didn't predict that it would fall down, if you had bought last week when I said to and sold by now, you would have made a decent profit on that. So good job if you did that. I expect them to fall back down again due to the Galente fuel thing. I don't expect them to overcorrect. And then just a teaser, because I've actually pounded through this a lot faster than I expected. I'm working on the next thing after we do next week's price flagging. We will be doing a violence report here in the show, where we take Z killboard data and crunch it down and talk about the trends. So I just wanted to give a little bit of taste of that, and just let you guys in on what's in the pipeline. I also want to work on trends, not trends, indexes. So things like mineral indexes and moon product indexes. But I haven't had a chance to work on those. The Z kill board thing is taking up way more time than I expected it would. But that's where we're heading. And it looks like I ended the show about 10 minutes earlier than I usually do. So I'm going to go ahead and give the outro. And if you guys have questions, stay in the chat channel. We'll be talking until about 04:30. Actually, 04:15. I'll be answering questions in the chat channel. So, again, this has been the Eve Prosper Show. I'm your host, Lockefox. You can tune in on Thursday nights US. That's Friday 0300 in game at HLib Industry on Twitch. You can catch this the next day on YouTube at youtube.com/EveProsper. You can catch me on Twitter at HLibIndustry. You can catch the blog at eve-prosper.blogspot.com, which I will be registering an actual name for that, so that shouldn't be an issue anymore. And again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the looks like 20 who are tuning in live. Thanks for all of you who watch on YouTube. Again, go watch the blog. Give me some feedback if you have any strong feelings one way or the other about monetization. I would love to hear about it. And again, thank you to my friend Etienne for his contributions to the show on the code side. So thanks again.